Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving deep into If You Want to Be Rich and Happy, Don't Go to School by Robert Kiyosaki. It's a book that's certainly made a splash, and we're going to figure out why. We'll be focusing on its positive messages and how it can potentially help you, even if you don't agree with every single thing Kiyosaki says. Before we get started, though, if you're looking for an extra boost of motivation, maybe some personalized zodiac affirmations, check out affirmifyjourney.timo.com. Okay, so let's jump in. We've got excerpts from the book right here, and right off the bat, Kiyosaki throws down a challenge to traditional education.
Oh yeah, he really does. He pretty much argues that the traditional education system, with all its emphasis on grades and tests, might actually be holding us back from being our best selves, especially when it comes to money and happiness.
It's interesting because he doesn't just say school is bad. He actually kind of compares it to the mentality of war.
Right. He points out that in war, there's this celebration for the winners, but also mourning for those who are lost. And he says it's the same with the education system. A small group are considered winners, while most are left feeling like they've failed.
So it's not about getting rid of education completely. It's more about rethinking its goals and how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Kiyosaki is pushing for a system that helps everyone succeed, not just a select few. And one of the key things in his recipe for success is learning to be okay with mistakes.
I thought that was a really interesting perspective. We're so often taught to be afraid of making mistakes, but Kiyosaki kind of turns that idea upside down.
He does, and he uses a really relatable example. Learning to ride a bike. Remember all those times you wobbled and fell before you finally got it? Kiyosaki says those falls weren't failures, they were necessary steps in learning.
And he takes that idea even further, using his experience as a pilot to show how tough challenges and even big failures can actually lead to mastery.
Totally. He talks about this crazy training exercise where his instructor, Lieutenant Johnson, purposely shut off the engine mid-flight. Kiyosaki thought he knew the emergency procedures, but when it actually happened, he froze.
That must have been terrifying.
It was for him, but it was also a huge lesson. It made him realize that knowing something isn't just about memorizing it. It's about being able to react quickly and confidently, even when things are going wrong.
So it's about having that practical, real-world knowledge, not just what you learn from books.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki says this idea of accepting mistakes and learning by doing should also apply to how we understand money.
It's interesting how he says that our societal discomfort with money comes from not really understanding it.
He believes that we often see money as this taboo subject, something we shouldn't discuss. And he says this lack of understanding leads to a lot of financial problems. He even suggests that some societal issues, like crime, could be reduced if people had more financial education.
Makes you think about how much we focus on traditional subjects in school, but we don't really teach practical things like how to manage your money.
Yeah, he mentions a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It lays out some simple but powerful financial principles. Kiyosaki thinks these kinds of things should be taught early on so people can make smart choices about their money.
So it's not just about becoming rich, it's about feeling confident and in control of your finances.
Exactly. And this brings up another interesting point he makes. Real job security doesn't come from sticking to one career path. It comes from learning different skills and becoming more well-rounded.
He challenges the traditional idea of working for one company your whole life.
Right. He argues that in today's job market, which changes all the time, being adaptable is key. We need to keep learning throughout our lives, expanding our skills, and being able to shift gears when we need to.
And he actually uses his wife's story as an example of how having diverse skills can lead to greater financial security and even a stronger marriage.
Right. He talks about how his wife's range of skills and her ability to adapt and take on different roles, it gave them a stronger financial foundation and even helped them connect more in their relationship.
It's interesting how he connects adaptability to the concept of holistic learning, something he's really passionate about.
He's against forcing everyone into the same mold. He thinks education should focus on nurturing individual talents and encouraging cooperative learning, where students work together towards a shared goal.
Like moving away from that super competitive environment we often see in traditional education.
Exactly. He thinks that this cooperative, holistic approach lets everyone thrive and contribute what makes them unique. He even compares this with what he observed in Japan. Their educational models emphasize community and working together, not just individual achievement.
It seems like he's suggesting that this focus on individual success sometimes comes at the expense of others, creating a system where some do well but others struggle.
And to illustrate this point, he tells this really fascinating story about the Wapakunak tribe. highlighting how important it is to pass down wisdom and prepare the next generation for leadership.
What's so important about this story? What can we learn from the Wapakunuk tribe?
So in the story, the tribe is facing a crisis because they haven't prepared their young people to become leaders. The older generation is holding on to power and knowledge. And because of this, the tribe isn't ready for the challenges they're facing. Kiyosaki uses this as a metaphor for our society. He argues that we need to invest in the next generation and give them the skills and knowledge they need to be successful.
So it's about understanding that society is interconnected, that we all have a part to play in supporting each other and ensuring the well-being of the whole community.
Exactly. And this idea of thinking long-term and investing in the future is also a key theme in Kiyosaki's approach to building wealth. He introduces this idea of building a corral for financial security, emphasizing that investing is more important than chasing immediate gratification.
Could you explain that a bit more? What does he mean by building a corral?
He uses the analogy of an Indian hunter who creates a steady food source by building a corral for deer. Instead of always chasing after them, he invests time and effort to create a system that provides for him in the long run. It's about delaying gratification, making those small, consistent investments over time. That will eventually lead to greater financial security.
So it's about shifting our mindset from wanting instant rewards to building something that lasts for the future.
Exactly. It takes discipline, patience, and being willing to wait for those rewards. It's about building wealth slowly and steadily, kind of like a tree that needs time to grow. And this connects really well with Kiyosaki's focus on embracing our own unique genius.
That's something that really speaks to me. He wants readers to find fulfillment in chasing their passions and using their talents to create something valuable.
He believes everyone has a special gift to share with the world, and that true success comes when our work aligns with what we're passionate about. He talks about his own journey of self-discovery and how he realized his passion was in the world of business and finance.
But it's not about everyone becoming an entrepreneur, is it?
Not necessarily. It's about finding what excites you, what you're naturally drawn to, and then figuring out how to make that part of your life, whether it's through your job, your hobbies, or how you contribute to your community.
So it's about knowing yourself, exploring, and finding that sweet spot where what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what the world needs all come together.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki believes this journey of self-discovery and embracing our unique genius should be a core part of education.
But he's pretty critical of traditional education, right? Does he offer any alternatives?
He does. He talks about the programs his own organization offers. They have a very different approach to learning. They focus on experiential learning, meaning students learn by doing instead of just listening to lectures. They also incorporate something called cooperative competition, where students work together to achieve a common goal while still recognizing individual achievement.
Sounds like he's trying to make learning more engaging, interactive, and tailored to individual needs.
Exactly. He's challenging the traditional model of education and proposing a more dynamic and holistic approach that fosters creativity, collaboration, and a lifelong love of learning. He even goes so far as to suggest that we need to unlearn some of the things that traditional education has drilled into us.
What does he mean by unlearning? Can you give me an example?
Well, he uses the example of reading. We were taught to read aloud, which actually makes our reading speed and comprehension slower. He suggests that we need to unlearn that habit and train our brains to process information more efficiently by reading silently. He also stresses the importance of learning by doing, experimenting, and even making mistakes.
So it's about challenging our assumptions about how we learn, being open to new methods, and finding what works best for us individually.
Precisely. It's about taking charge of our own education and making learning and growth a lifelong journey.
And I imagine this idea of personal responsibility also applies to how we manage our money, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Kiyosaki emphasizes that building wealth isn't about luck or inheritance. It's about taking control of our finances, making smart choices, and investing wisely. He wants us to think of ourselves as the CEOs of our own lives, responsible for our own financial well-being.
He seems to be encouraging a change in mindset, from feeling like a victim of our circumstances to taking control and creating the life we want.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves, believing in what we can do, and taking action to achieve our goals. And this ties in with his focus on developing a strong work ethic and a willingness to persevere, even when things get tough.
He doesn't try to make achieving success sound easy, does he?
Not at all. He's very clear that success, whether financial or personal, takes hard work, dedication, and stepping outside of our comfort zones. But he also stresses the importance of enjoying the journey, celebrating our wins along the way, and not taking ourselves too seriously.
It sounds like he's advocating for a balanced approach, combining hard work with self-care, celebration, and a positive mindset.
That's a great point. And he believes this balance is essential not just for financial success, but for overall well-being and fulfillment.
He's not just talking about money, he's talking about creating a life that has meaning, purpose, and connection.
Exactly. And he believes the key to creating that kind of life starts with taking charge of our own education and embracing the journey of lifelong learning and growth.
This is all incredibly fascinating, and it definitely makes me want to explore Kiyosaki's ideas further.
I agree. There's so much here to unpack and explore. And I think his perspective, even if you don't agree with everything he says, can offer valuable insights and challenge our conventional thinking.
We'll continue this discussion in part 2 of our deep dive. We'll delve into Kiyosaki's specific recommendations for unlearning those limiting beliefs, developing financial literacy, and creating a life filled with purpose and abundance.
We'll also look at some of the criticisms and controversies surrounding his work, and we'll encourage you to think critically about his ideas and how they might apply to your own life. Welcome back. It's great to continue this deep dive into Kiyosaki's "If you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school."
Picking up where we left off, one of the most interesting ideas in the book is this concept of unlearning.
Yeah, Kiyosaki says we often need to unlearn those outdated or limiting beliefs that traditional education kind of ingrained in us.
He thinks those beliefs can hold us back from reaching our full potential, not just financially, but personally too.
Right, and one of the most surprising examples he gives is unlearning how to read.
I remember that part. It was so unexpected, but it makes sense when you think about it.
He explains how we were taught to read out loud, which can actually slow down how fast we read and how well we understand what we're reading. He suggests we retrain our brains to process information better by reading silently.
It's like he's challenging us to question even the most basic things we take for granted, like how we read. It's about breaking free from those ingrained habits that might be limiting us.
And this idea of unlearning also applies to our money habits.
He says we often need to unlearn what we think we know about money to actually achieve financial freedom.
For example, a lot of us were raised to think money is bad or that wanting to be wealthy is greedy. These beliefs can really sabotage our efforts to build wealth.
So it's about changing our mindset from scarcity to abundance and accepting that wealth can be a force for good.
Exactly. Kiyosaki also emphasizes unlearning our dependence on a single job for security.
He encourages us to create multiple streams of income and build a safety net that doesn't rely solely on that 9-to-5 job.
It's about diversifying our income and taking control of our financial future.
This whole concept of unlearning is really about questioning our assumptions and being open to new ways of thinking and doing things.
It's about challenging the way things are and being willing to step outside our comfort zones.
And it's a lifelong process, right? We're always evolving and growing, which means we're always unlearning and relearning.
Absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination.
Speaking of journeys, Kiyosaki shares some really great personal stories in the book. They really bring these concepts to life.
His stories offer valuable insights into his mindset and how he overcame challenges to achieve success.
I loved his story about learning to surf.
Oh yeah, me too. He talks about how he was awful at it at first, but instead of giving up, he embraced the challenge and learned from his mistakes.
He saw every wipeout as a chance to learn and eventually became a pretty good surfer.
It's a perfect example of how perseverance and a willingness to learn from failure can lead to mastery.
He also shares stories about his early attempts at starting businesses, which weren't always successful.
Right, but those failures taught him valuable lessons about business, finance, and how to bounce back.
It's interesting how he doesn't see those experiences as setbacks, but as stepping stones to his eventual success.
He emphasizes that failure is a crucial part of learning and that we shouldn't let it discourage us from going after what we want.
It's about embracing those challenges and using them as fuel to keep moving forward.
And his story about his mentor, the rich dad, is so insightful. It shows the power of having a mentor, someone who believes in you.
The rich dad pushed Kiyosaki to think differently, to question conventional wisdom, and to develop his entrepreneurial skills.
He offered guidance, support, and a completely different perspective on money and success.
Kiyosaki really stresses how much of a difference having a mentor can make. It can accelerate our learning and growth.
It's about finding someone who has already achieved what we want and learning from their journey.
And it's not just about finding a mentor, it's also about being a mentor to others.
Right. Kiyosaki believes in paying it forward and sharing our knowledge and experience.
It's about creating a ripple effect of positive impact and helping others achieve their goals.
Kiyosaki also talks about the importance of building a strong network of friends, family, and colleagues, people who share our values and support our dreams.
He emphasizes that we're not meant to go through life alone. We need people around us who believe in us and challenge us to grow.
It's about surrounding ourselves with positive, supportive people who inspire us to be our best.
He also talks about finding our tribe, a community of like-minded people who share our passions and support our journey.
It's about finding a sense of belonging and connecting with others who understand our dreams and push us to reach our full potential.
And this idea of community and collaboration is something Kiyosaki carries over to his thoughts on education, too.
He believes that traditional education often focuses too much on competition and individualism, instead of cooperation and working together.
He proposes a more holistic approach where students work together to achieve shared goals, and individual strengths are celebrated and nurtured.
He envisions an education system that fosters creativity, innovation, and a genuine love of learning, not just memorizing facts and taking standardized tests.
He challenges us to rethink what education should be and how it can prepare us for a successful and fulfilling life.
And this rethinking extends to financial education as well.
Kiyosaki argues that traditional education often doesn't give us the financial skills we need to succeed in life.
He believes we need to be taught how to manage money, invest wisely, and create financial security for ourselves and our families.
He suggests a more practical approach to financial education, one that focuses on real-world skills and knowledge we can use in our everyday lives.
He encourages us to take control of our finances, learn about money, and make smart choices about our financial future.
He also talks about developing an entrepreneurial mindset, even if we don't want to start our own businesses.
He believes that an entrepreneurial mindset is about being proactive, resourceful, and creative in everything we do.
It's about taking initiative, solving problems, and creating value for ourselves and others.
He encourages us to think outside the box, challenge conventional thinking, and embrace new opportunities.
And this connects with his emphasis on personal growth and development.
Kiyosaki believes we should never stop learning, growing, and evolving.
He encourages us to read, attend seminars, and find mentors who can help us expand our knowledge and skills.
He also emphasizes self-reflection, taking time to think about our goals, values, and beliefs.
It's about understanding ourselves better and knowing what motivates us.
He suggests journaling, meditation, and other practices that promote self-awareness. He also talks about the importance of taking care of our physical and mental health.
He believes we can't be successful in any area of life if we're not taking care of ourselves.
It's about prioritizing our health, managing stress, and making time for things we enjoy. He talks about getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising regularly.
He believes that taking care of our physical health leads to a healthier mind as well.
He also talks about mindfulness and being present in the moment.
It's about quieting our minds, reducing stress, and focusing on the here and now.
He encourages us to practice mindfulness in our daily lives.
Things like meditation, yoga, or spending time in nature.
He believes mindfulness helps us be more present, focused, and resilient when faced with challenges.
Kiyosaki also talks about the importance of having a strong support system.
He says we need people who believe in us, support our goals, and can help us through tough times.
It's about surrounding ourselves with positive people who lift us up.
He encourages us to build relationships with mentors, coaches, and other successful people.
He also talks about the importance of family and friends.
He believes our loved ones can give us love, support, and encouragement.
He encourages us to nurture those relationships and make time for the people who matter most.
He also talks about finding a romantic partner who shares our values and supports our dreams.
He believes a supportive partner can make a huge difference in our lives.
He encourages us to be open to love and find someone who brings out the best in us.
Kiyosaki also talks about giving back to our communities and making a positive impact on the world. It's amazing how Kiyosaki brings all these different parts of life together, education, finances, personal growth, into this whole picture of success. He really pushes back against the idea that those things are all separate.
He really does, and he's not afraid to share his own struggles and successes along the way, which makes his message so much more relatable.
One story that really stuck with me was his experience with his best friend Robbie, who was considered a genius. Kiyosaki talks about feeling like he wasn't as smart, even feeling that way as an adult, despite his own achievements.
It's a powerful example of how early experiences can shape how we see ourselves. And sometimes those beliefs can stick around for years, preventing us from reaching our full potential.
And it wasn't until Kiyosaki hit a major roadblock, losing his business and facing financial ruin, that he started to question those beliefs about himself.
That experience was a turning point for him. It forced him to confront his limits, to rethink what success meant to him, and ultimately to embrace this idea of personal genius in a whole new way.
He started to see that being a genius wasn't about being the smartest person in the room. It was about discovering and nurturing your own unique talents and passions.
And that's a message that I think a lot of people connect with. We all have something special to offer the world. And Kiyosaki encourages us to find that spark within ourselves and let it shine.
He even suggests that traditional education, with its focus on conformity and standardized tests, can sometimes stifle that natural genius.
He wants us to break free from that mold, to think outside the box, and to find our own path to success, even if it looks different from what society expects.
And that journey of self-discovery and embracing our personal genius is a lifelong process, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not something we figure out once and then we're done.
It's an ongoing evolution. We're always learning, growing, and discovering new things about ourselves and what we're capable of. And Kiyosaki emphasizes the importance of having a growth mindset, embracing challenges as opportunities to learn, and never giving up on our dreams.
He's also a big believer in mentorship, and he credits his own mentors, particularly the rich dad figure in his life, for helping him see possibilities he might not have recognized on his own.
Having someone who believes in you, who challenges you to think differently, and who guides you can be so valuable. Kiyosaki encourages us to find those mentors in our own lives, whether it's in business, personal growth, or any area where we want to learn and improve.
And it's not just about finding a mentor. It's also about being a mentor to others, sharing what we know in our experiences to help them on their own journeys.
It's about paying it forward and creating a positive impact, empowering others to achieve their goals and dreams.
Another big idea that comes up in Kiyosaki's work is the importance of taking action. He's not a fan of just watching from the sidelines or waiting for the perfect opportunity. He believes in taking initiative, making things happen, and learning by doing.
He wants us to set clear goals, create a plan, and then consistently work towards those goals, even if it's just baby steps every day. He reminds us that progress, not perfection, is what matters.
And he's very open about the fact that there will be challenges along the way. He's upfront about the fact that achieving success, whether it's financial or personal, takes hard work, dedication, and a willingness to overcome obstacles.
But he also stresses the importance of finding joy in the process, celebrating our wins along the way, and not taking ourselves too seriously. He reminds us that life is meant to be lived fully with passion, enthusiasm, and a sense of adventure.
He encourages us to embrace the ups and downs, the wins and losses, as all part of the learning experience, and to focus on building a life that is both successful and fulfilling.
And that's where I think Kiyosaki's work really hits home. It's not just about money. It's about creating a life that has purpose, meaning, and connection.
It's about finding what we're passionate about, chasing our dreams, making a positive impact on the world, and living each day to the fullest.
If you want to be rich and happy, Don't Go to School is definitely a book that makes you think. It challenges conventional wisdom and encourages us to rethink how we view education's success and the path we choose for ourselves.
It's a book that might not resonate with everyone, and some of Kiyosaki's ideas are controversial for sure. But I think his core message of empowerment, personal responsibility, and lifelong learning is something we can all benefit from.
I completely agree. Even if you don't agree with everything he says, his work can spark some important conversations and make us question our assumptions about the world and our place in it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we have the power to create the life we want. It starts with taking charge of our education, continuously learning and growing, and never settling for less than we deserve.
It's about embracing our unique talents, following our passions, and finding a way to align our work with what we value and what we want to achieve.
It's also about taking action towards our goals and not letting fear or self-doubt hold us back.
And it's about surrounding ourselves with supportive people who believe in us, challenge us to grow and celebrate our wins along the way.
Ultimately, I think Kiyosaki's message is one of hope, empowerment, and possibility. He reminds us that we are capable of achieving great things if we put our minds to it, and that we have the power to create a life that is both successful and fulfilling.
And if you're looking to continue your journey of learning and growth, be sure to check out lingopediamagazine.com Panba. They've got some great courses and ebooks that can help you expand your knowledge and skills in all sorts of areas.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into interesting books and ideas. We'd love to have you join us on this adventure of exploration and discovery.
We also encourage you to leave a comment below, letting us know what resonated with you from this episode. We love hearing from our listeners and having these conversations.
Until next time, keep learning, Keep growing and keep diving deep.
And remember, the power to create the life you want is in your hands.